It's easy to feel overwhelmed by the constant barrage of bad news. Every day, headlines scream about war, drought, and hunger, painting a picture of a world in chaos. This flood of negativity triggers what I call the overwhelm instinct. The sense that problems are too big and too many to solve. But is this feeling accurate? News media focus on the dramatic and unusual, not the everyday progress. Our brains are wired to notice threats, which can distort our view of reality. Yes, real suffering exists. People are hungry, thirsty, and caught in conflict. But our sense of chaos is often amplified by the way stories are told. The narrative of constant crisis is simple and emotional, but it's not the whole truth. To understand what's really happening, we need to step back from the headlines and look at the data. Let's examine three major sources of global anxiety: water shortages, hunger, and war. We'll see these aren't random disasters, but problems with causes and solutions. What looks like chaos is often the result of systems and decisions we can change. By replacing drama with curiosity and facts, we can see a world full of potential for improvement. Let's begin. When we look at the facts, many global crises are less hopeful than they seem. Take water. The story is always scarcity, drought, and looming water wars. It feels like a natural disaster we can't control. Hunger is framed the same way. Starving children, not enough food, too many people. This narrative suggests hunger is inevitable, closing the door on hope. War is shown as chaos, explosions, refugees, ancient hatreds, making conflict seem unavoidable. These stories are powerful, but they're misleading. They boil complex problems down to single, scary causes. In reality, these crises are about how we manage, distribute, and share resources. Water, food, and conflict are not just acts of nature, they're shaped by human choices. The real story is more nuanced and more hopeful. In the next sections, we'll use facts to dismantle these dramatic narratives. We'll see that these problems are solvable. Let's look closer. The world isn't running out of water, it's struggling to manage and distribute it. Think of water like blood. If the arteries are blocked, organs fail, even if there's enough blood. Scarcity is often man-made, a result of broken infrastructure and poor policies. Consider Saudi Arabia one of the driest places on earth, yet its cities have water thanks to massive investment in technology and infrastructure. Contrast that with parts of sub-Saharan Africa where there's more rainfall, but millions lack clean water. The problem isn't nature, it's missing pipes, pumps, and political will. Water crises are usually about poverty and governance, not just drought. Headlines rarely ask, is this a crisis of scarcity or a crisis of access? Most often it's the latter. That's good news. It means the problem is solvable. We know how to build wells and treatment plants. The challenge is money, fair systems, and leadership. The water crisis is, at its core, an economic and political issue, and that's something we can change. The idea that hunger exists because we don't produce enough food is a myth. Today we grow more food than ever, enough to feed everyone. The real problem is distribution and waste. About a third of all food is lost or wasted, often because of poor storage and transport or consumer habits. In wealthy countries, food is thrown away. In poorer countries, it spoils before reaching markets. Hunger is not a farming problem, it's a logistics and justice problem. Poverty is the true driver. People go hungry, not because food isn't there, but because they can't afford it. Food prices are shaped by markets, trade, and speculation. A family may live near a market full of food, but without money, it's out of reach. Solving hunger means improving infrastructure, reducing waste, and building safety nets. It's about making sure food moves from farm to fork, and that people can afford it. We don't need new farming miracles, we need better systems. The fight against hunger is a fight against inefficiency and inequality, and it's a fight we can win. The solutions are within our grasp. War and conflict fuel our sense of chaos, but they're rarely just random explosions of hatred. Beneath the violence, there's often a cold logic. Wars are fought for resources, power, and profit. Chaos can be a tool. It hides exploitation, justifies power grabs, and makes business for those who benefit. Many conflicts erupt in resource-rich regions where instability makes it easier to seize assets. Sometimes chaos isn't a side effect, it's the goal. Leaders may manufacture crisis to justify authoritarian rule, using fear to control populations. In these cases, war is not a breakdown, but a system. Understanding this changes how we prevent conflict. Solutions must address corruption, resource management, and accountability. Peace isn't just about treaties, it's about building fair, stable systems that make war less profitable. Conflict is not inevitable chaos, it's a strategy we can expose and dismantle. By seeing the motives behind war, we can target real solutions. We have the tools to make peace possible. If broken systems cause global crises, fixing them is our path forward. Global institutions like the UN must adapt to today's world, not the world of 1945. The UN Security Council should reflect current realities, not old power structures. We need stronger, enforceable international agreements, not just voluntary promises. Accountability matters. Incentives for compliance, penalties for inaction. This isn't about world government, but about making sure global rules are followed. Global institutions can also share knowledge, spreading solutions that already work. Countries shouldn't have to reinvent the wheel. We can learn from each other's successes and failures. Preventive diplomacy is key. It's cheaper and better to stop conflict before it starts. Early warning, mediation, and addressing root causes like poverty and injustice are essential. A reformed global system should be proactive, not just reactive. The goal, prevent crises, not just manage them. That's how we build a safer world. The world isn't as chaotic as it feels. Water, food, and conflict crises are real, but they're not inevitable. They're products of broken systems. If we created these problems, we can solve them. The first step is to reject fear and embrace facts. Governments must invest in infrastructure, education, and justice and fight corruption. Their job is to build resilient societies where chaos can't take root. But it's not just up to leaders. Each of us has a role. Practice critical thinking. Question headlines, look for trends, and support organizations building better systems. Cultivate empathy. Understand that others' well-being is tied to our own. We face a choice. The path of fear and cynicism, or the path of hope and action. The challenges are real, but so are the solutions. Let's choose to be architects of a better future, not passive spectators. Let's choose hope.